Such a beautiful day. I thought I'd walk back to the office after going home for lunch. Here's what's on my mind, and it's something that I've been concerned about for myself, for my clients, for every homeowner, since they had to close down courts. So the problem with foreclosure cases, the special problem with foreclosure cases that's different for many than other kinds of cases. And other cases have their problems too, but I only handle cases in foreclosure. So the major problem that I've always seen with closing the courts for foreclosure is that most homeowners, a lot of homeowners, I wouldn't say most, a lot of homeowners get notice of their foreclosure issue and show up to court. They get notices of mediations, they get notices of motions, they get notices of law days, or they know there's a sale coming up on their home, a foreclosure auction, and they show up to court. And they wait to show up to court. They say, oh, well, I've got court on that day. My law day is Monday, so I'm going to go to court on my law day. Not knowing, not understanding that a law day is not a court date. It's not a court date. It's a law day is not a court date. I did a video on that. But the problem is a lot of homeowners show up to court. And the ability to walk into a courthouse is key for those homeowners. It's key because they can talk to a judge, because they can finally, for the first time in their entire case usually, they finally can understand what's going on because they're actually talking to a clerk, they're talking to a judge. That doesn't mean they didn't have an opportunity before, don't get me wrong. You're served with papers, you can apply for the mediation program. There's lots of time and opportunity to show up in court and plead your case and ask for help and, do things to save your house. But every time I'm in court, every time I'm in front of the court calendar, in front of a judge during a court calendar, there's at least one homeowner who's there for the first time. They didn't know about it, they didn't understand, they didn't know, they think it's their law day, they didn't understand what that meant, because the court process is complicated. And your average homeowner is busy working, busy dealing with life, and you shouldn't lose your house because you can't walk into a courthouse. That's what I'm getting at. So I'm concerned. I've been concerned all along, but I'm concerned now because the courts are are experimenting with different ways to handle cases. For family law, for example, they're setting phone appointments with the parties. Now that is probably going to work pretty well. I think in most, I don't know much about family law, but my guess is that the parties in a family law case, the parties to the couple, they might have attorneys. There might be a guardian ad litem assigned to the children. There's a lot of participation in a family law case. There's child support issues, custody issues, visitation issues that are all decided. They're all important, and I think the parties generally would show up to that phone call if they got a letter in the mail saying, this is your hearing date on your custody or your child support issue. But I don't know that any homeowners as many are going to respond if they get a letter from the court that says, you got to be on the phone with the judge on this day. First of all, they don't understand, half of them, that they're in foreclosure. I had another call this week, yet another call from a husband whose wife was handling all the finances, and he had no idea they were in foreclosure. He wondered why they were getting a bill for like $50,000 from their mortgage company. And I said, oh, it's because you've been in foreclosure for like 2 years. He had no idea because this is what happens. So what if that person got this letter from the court, said be on the call on this particular date, and they said, well, why? What does this mean? This can't be serious because it's just a letter with a phone number. It could be junk mail. So my concern is that the courts haven't yet figured out how to allow a homeowner to walk into court. And this is a big problem for homeowners in Connecticut. As much as they're trying to get people to start participating again, they've got to allow, in my opinion, the due process opportunity to show up in court, to walk into a courthouse and talk to a judge anytime during their case, on their law day, before their law day, and I just don't know how they're going to do it. And I'm concerned that due process rights are going to be violated, that homes are going to be foreclosed on, people will start getting kicked out without a chance to walk in and talk to a judge. So that's my thought for the day. We need to be very concerned about that. I will be keeping an eye out for my clients' rights for all homeowner rights until I'm confident that they can walk into court and get a day in court and talk to a judge and not lose their house. In fact, here's a funny but scary story. I bumped into an attorney who I deal with who only represents banks and only forecloses on homes. His opinion was they've got to start opening the courts. He said, they've been postponing law days and foreclosure auctions all summer, which has been great. And he said, nope, they're not. I'm sure they're not going to do it again. They got to start letting these law days pass. And I said, why is that? And he's like, well, because didn't really have an answer. I'm like, they can't just take homes away. They can't just push foreclosures forward because we're bored, right? They can't just say, okay, enough's enough. We're just going to start foreclosing again just because it's been enough time. No, they haven't figured out how to satisfy the due process rights that we all have to show up into court and talk to a judge. And until then, there should be no foreclosures, no evictions either. My concern is foreclosures. So thanks for watching. Stay in touch. Call me if you have questions. Call me if you want to make sure your due process rights are not violated and that they don't just foreclose on your house because they're bored. Okay, thanks.